Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Microcosmos MC01 Elvis, aka not Voltron. Now, as you can see, this figure is showcased in a sealed box with that Voltron chest logo at the front. And if we turn the box around, we can see a grid-like image of the figure as well as the blazing sword and shield at the bottom. So with the box out of the way, let's crack this figure open and let him breathe. Alright, so here are the lions out of the box, fully separated. It actually does come assembled as Voltron in the box, so you do have to take them apart when pulling them out. So first thing I want to show off, you actually do get a little sheet of instructions here that show it how to turn, the lions into Voltron mode and things like that. We even have something called box mode, which I'll show you later, which is actually pretty interesting. And then it shows for Lion 1, which is the black lion, and then you got Lion 2, which is the red and green lions, because they're pretty much the exact same thing. And then same thing with Lion 3, which would be the blue and yellow lions, again, also the same thing. And you can kind of see what they do when it comes to box mode. That's basically it right there. It's a little secondary type of display, which looks pretty cool. You can show how you assemble Voltron right there. So these come in really handy. They're nothing too crazy difficult. They're just very interesting because it's something very unique here. So yeah, let's just see what we got. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start off with red lion here. I'm not going to really go in any specific order. So this is lion number 3, the red lion, which I was always a big fan of. I love this character, and it looks pretty cool. You can see how small they are in the size of my hand. When you combine Voltron, he's about a 7-inch figure, so it actually works out pretty good. I actually do like it. The articulation works very well on these guys. You can see where the little pins are, where you can actually articulate the legs and things like that. They actually are in a little bit of a ball joint, so you can roll those around too. Same thing with the hind legs, which is really nice. Even the tail back here is articulated, which is really cool. Same thing with the jaw here, since this is the hands. You can articulate that very well too. And again, the neck and all that stuff moves. I guess where it would be his ribs kind of breaks apart and goes side to side. And it's going to be all for articulation once you actually form Voltron here. You can add these little extra pieces here, which just popped off. These little extra cannons and things like that, a little extra attachments that you have for the figures, which is pretty cool. You can do that for all the lions. They all have their own types of secondary weapons you could add, which is pretty cool. I like that. They're just cast in a simple black, no other paint detail. Kind of wish there was a little bit silver or something in there or something like that. Would have been nice, but still, this is really cool, man. I love the fact it's, again, feels little, but it feels, I don't know, kind of old school. There was a smaller Voltron back in the day when I was a kid that was around this side that could fully transform, and that was actually really nice quality. Kind of reminds me of that, but this guy just looks really, really cool. So now moving on to Blue Lion, which is number 4 here, looking really dope. I love this. Again, same thing with the articulation. You got the jaw. The jaw on these articulates insanely well, which is pretty cool, and the legs kind of perform the same way. They can go back and forth, and this all helps for the transformation as well. Same with the hind legs, they kind of roll around too. You got the articulated tail, which is really nice. He does have a secondary weapon, much like Red Lion here, but this one is on the side, which looks really cool. And you'll see what's similar to the Yellow Lion here shortly. But I love the paint here, and there's actually technically not, feels like a lot of paint. A lot of these pieces seem to be casted, like that yellow is casted in that yellow. The blue here is casted in that blue. There's a little bit of paint right here on the red piece right there. This gray is painted, but the legs are casted in that gray. The black is casted in that black. You know, so a lot of good mix and match of casting and painting, which I do like. I like the build of this lion. I think it looks really, really cool. The legs look awesome in my opinion, so that's a cool looking figure. So moving on to Green Lion, lion number 2. Love this one, man, too. This is another one of my favorites back in the day. You can see it has that gun attachment, which can be removed. But it's, again, same thing we've seen with the red lion, articulated tail, articulated legs, articulated jaw. So just seeing these side by side actually looks really cool, man. I love these two little guys. They look so good together. I cannot wait to show you the guys this in Voltron form and stuff. It is just a blast to play with. So these guys look really, really cool. Now we have the yellow lion, which is number 5 here. I think this looks great. This is such a unique looking one in my opinion. I love the yellow, black, and reds. I always thought that was really cool, but then it has like blue eyes. I thought that was such a cool, unique look for this particular one. It does have the side cannon right there, and I do love the gold trim around the like little rims right there where the hips would be for this lion, and the same articulation everywhere else, and that crazy articulated jaw. So, and I don't know about you guys, but like I remember when I was a kid, and I would try and look for like Voltron toys. Like you would sometimes see them by the individual lion. For some reason, I always saw Yellow Lion more than any other lion. So I don't know if that's because people didn't like Yellow Lion or what, I don't know. But every time I would go to like a swap meet or a thrift store or any type of retail store, and they had sold individual lions, I would see nothing but Yellow Lion, which is kind of weird to me because he's a pretty pivotal character, pretty pivotal lion. I mean, they all technically are, right? So I'm not sure what that was. So I don't know, just a little something I noticed when I was a kid. But you can see it's the same thing as the blue lion for the most part. They look really good. These are the legs. So I do like having these side by side. And again, these extra pieces right here are little separate pieces you could just take apart. If I can use my fat fingers there. So you don't have to have those on there if you don't want to. And you can put them on either side. There are peg holes on either side of the body. So you can do what you want with that. But again, I think it's pretty cool that we have the option to do other things like this. Just adds a little more to these beefy little cats here. And now we have Black Lion, which is the number 1 lion here. It's a little weird proportions. You know, the Black Lion always kind of was, since he's the more oddly shaped, bigger, bulky upper torso of Voltron, so he always had a little bit of more of a weird shape, but it looks pretty cool. The jaw still hinges up and down like that, and you can see the Voltron face inside there in the upper mouth like that. This looks really cool. You got the tail, which folds up nicely. The legs are fully articulated. You got the little ankles and little ball joints here, so that's really nice. He does have these 2 extra cannons that you can add to the figure. Again, these do come off. You just take them off via a little peg right there. There's a little socket on that. These are pretty cool too, because these actually can fold if you want to like holster them like that, you know what I mean? And just have them there. They don't have to be protruding out and blasting. So I think that's really cool. You can see his wings right there, the T for some reason right there. So I think this is awesome, man. I always love this lion. I still have some of my vintage Voltrons, which I do love, and the Black Lion. I don't know for anyone else. Like I know everyone else has their favorite lion, but I think the Black Lion was always my particular favorite. So I'm very happy with this. Okay, so looking at the instructions here, I'm gonna attempt this box mode, and it looks a little confusing for me. When I'm looking at the instructions, so I'm going to do this off camera, and I'll try and give you the play-by-play when I go through it. But yeah, I don't want to do this on camera because I'm totally going to fumble this, and it would probably just take forever. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so here they are in quote-unquote box mode, which is very interesting. Now, the transformation with these was actually kind of a pain in the butt. And there's certain things that like flip open and rotate that I was so hesitant to do because it didn't feel like they were gonna spin, or like this whole torso for the cats does like flip up, you know what I mean? For a second there, it didn't feel like it was going to, and I felt like I was gonna break it, but it does, you know what I mean? So just be very careful when you're actually transforming this thing. And yeah, this is just a weird looking quote-unquote box. Now they do connect together. You get a little black piece and a little connector piece from one of those like blasters that they have, and it helps connect them together. So that's pretty interesting. I'll bring in the red and green line. These actually look kind of cool side by side, like I got 2 and 3. You do get a separate little black piece that comes separately in the package that you have to attach to these guys to help connect them, like that right there. And you have a little peg which you can actually connect the shield right into there like that, which looks good. And the shield itself looks awesome. I love that, man. That vac metal just it makes me feel like old school Voltrons, man. The Voltron vac metal weapons was always so cool to me, so I love that. So that's pretty cool too. And then there's this mofo, which was a pain in the butt. The Black Lion was, oh my gosh, so difficult. I'm so glad I didn't do this on camera. But the legs have to be twisted and folded and bent in a very certain way. The blasters that he had on his shoulders are part of the actual transformation for this box mode itself. But it looks pretty cool. This is the most like box-like one out of all of them. And you can see right there, there is a little slot right there where you can actually take his sword and it can actually holster it in there. So if you want to do that, that is an option. And again, I love this sword. The Voltron always had such a very unique sword and shield, which I always thought was really, really weird. But I love it so much, especially in the vac metal. Again, reminds me of the old school toys where they had a lot of vac metal weapons like this, which was so dope. So I do like that a lot. Again, it can be holstered right in this little slot right in there specifically for that. And these all look pretty cool. I don't know if I'll ever display this in box mode, but it's fun to play around and transform things. I did enjoy it. Like I said, it was a pain in the butt, but it was still a lot of fun just to see this and do other things with the Voltron and pretty much play with it like an actual transformer, which is pretty cool. So, you know, again, not for everybody. I'll probably never display it this way, but still a lot of fun. Okay, so now we're gonna form Voltron here. So the arms and the legs are pretty standard when it comes to, like, you know, transforming them into their like arms and legs modes and things like that. This little peg right here does just fold down. This is how you're gonna peg the arms into the sockets there, you'll see shortly, but you just fold the legs up and it's pretty standard. Same thing with the legs here. You just fold up the actual legs on each individual lion and then curve up the head area like that, the upper torso of the lion there, and then you've got the legs, which is pretty simple. The Black Lion right here, you're going to want to extend the legs out like this and keep the feet kind of just bent back like so. So what we're going to do here, we're actually going to open this up a little bit like that. Those just are on a hinge, and we're going to actually pull this whole front chest piece down. We can actually pull out the head, if I can actually do this on camera. But, you know, things are difficult, man. I have fat fingers, so bear with me. So that just folds out. Pop that back in. Rotate like that. We're gonna bring down the mouth right there if I can, like that, so. And then, man, that little face plate is so hard to get for me, so I'm just gonna take a little pin right here and see if I can get that down like that. There we go. So you're gonna do that right there. Just want to get that little face plate down like so. Okay, that's for right now. And then we're just going to take the legs here. You will see that each leg has a little slit on both sides right there. And there are little slots on the inside right in there. Those are kind of just going to fit in like that in the little grooves. And then you can just push in right there. And then same thing with the blue lion. Get that in there. And then just go into those little slots right there. So now Voltron has his legs, which is pretty cool already. So that's looking good. And then with the arms, just fairly easy. Got little peg holes right there on the side of the shoulders. Peg those in like that. And we're going to get the green lion. Just peg him right there, like so. And then, of course, I'll form the head, which is something like I've always really wanted to say. So just pop this down, boom, like that. We can extend the ears, or little horns, whatever you want to call them, antlers. I don't know. What kind of lion has horns? So like that, and then we'll take the little V-wings back here, just fold those up like that, and there you go, there is our fully formed Voltron, looking awesome. I am so stoked for this. Now, taking a look at him in his actual Voltron mode, I think it looks great. The face sculpt looks really cool too. You can definitely tell this has a little bit of its own like twist to it. It's not very vintage looking, has a little more of a modern take to it, which I think looks really cool. Each line again does look really great. I love things like the legs here for the thighs on the robot looking really good. Even though like a little crotch skirt piece area all look very, very nice. The V-fins on the back look really good too. And I just think this looks awesome, man. This is a very cool looking piece. I am very happy with how this turned out. Again, something very different than I think we're normally used to when it comes to Voltron, especially with that box mode, which is interesting, so I dig that. Now, things for like the blazing sword that we have here, we can open up the mouth for like any of the lions, and you'll see there are little like peg holes inside of the lion's mouth. So if you want to just take that in there, and then you can actually peg that into that socket, and it will hold that sword very nice and tight, which is great. It's a good grip on that, and that is just not coming off. Now, same thing with the shield here. We actually do get a separate attachment piece right here, and you can just plug this into that, and that is how we're going to plug the shield in. And same thing with either hand. You got the peg holes like that, and you're going to find out how you want to peg this in. So like, if I can open this up there, plug that in like that, close the mouth right there, and there you go. Now he has his blazing sword and blazing shield, and that looks so cool, dude. Oh my god, I love the fact that they made the weapons vac metal. That is just so old school, and I think that looks really, really awesome. The whole look of this figure is just great. So one thing I also did, I took all those extra gun attachments from the individual lions and I attached them to the built Voltron itself, in which I call gun mode, because I just think this looks awesome. You could really arm him up with all those blasters and cannons in the Voltron mode, and I think he looks really cool that way. So one thing I really want to go over here is the articulation, because this guy is pretty dynamic, which is kind of, you know, sometimes rare for a Voltron figure. So the head does look all the way up like that and down. You can turn left and right, which is pretty good. There's a hinge on there for the neck of the actual like lion itself, so that kind of rolls around like that. So got a good motion there. Arms can go technically all the way up in full 360. We can go all the way out like that. We can swivel here at the mid torso of the green lion and the red lions, as well as like a type of elbow bend. Of course, you can open at the mouth right there, and there's actually a hinge at the neck right there of the green lion, which would be like the wrist, so that's pretty cool too. This whole shoulder section does rotate as well as a bit of like a butterfly joint in there, so you can do other types of things, maybe come across the body and help you get across the shoulder type of poses and things like that. So that actually works out really good, and you can just form that however you need to get the desired pose that you want, which works out really, really freaking good, man. I'm so happy about that. The torso does turn left and right. You're not going to get a whole lot out of that. There's no ab crunch. I wish there was, but that's mostly just going to be because of the design, you know, but it does turn left and right, so that's pretty cool. No pivot or anything like that. The legs can go all the way up and forward that far, which is nice, and then all the way back, which is really good. These little skirt pieces are on separate little hinges for the front and on the sides there, so they move out of the way, which is really good, so I dig that a lot. Same thing with this whole back skirt right here. Those are on separate hinges as well. You can rotate an upper thigh. You got like a double bend at the knee that could bend back very, very far, which looks really good. And the ankles, or the necks of the lions, are on little pegs where you can actually just, you can actually pull them off a little bit because they come connected in there. Just give them a little pull and they'll become separated, and you can actually kind of roll them around, rotate, and a pretty sweet ankle rocker for a Voltron, man. So the articulation is actually pretty impressive, and I'll show pictures later on. You'll see what we can do here. It's a lot of fun. You know, This figure does run for around $100. Again, it is a bootleg. It's technically not licensed, so I mean, don't expect anything too crazy. But you know, for the most part, it feels like good quality. It doesn't really feel cheap. I don't feel like I'm gonna break it. There are certain sections that I believe are die-cast, like the silver area right here, and these legs all feel like they're actually die-cast, while everything else is plastic. There might be other sections, like I think these cylinders right here on these lions are die-cast. They kind of feel a little colder. I think, no, that's not die-cast. I don't know, this head might be die-cast, I can't really tell, but there's a mix and match of plastic and die-cast, which I do appreciate. Again, it just looks really cool. If you're into that box mode, that's something you can do. But I love the fact that we have a really awesome, super articulated Voltron, which works really good in this scale. And I love it, man. I think he's so cool, totally worth it, and definitely a must get. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and NECA Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to a 1/100 Master Grade Gundam figure from Bandai. And for even more comparison, here he is standing next to the Ultimates Voltron from Super 7. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of Not Voltron. Now overall, I think this is actually a really badass figure, and if memory serves me right, I believe this is the same company that's going to be doing Ninja Turtles that transform into cubes as well, which I'm going to be really curious to see, so I'll see if I can pick those up. But this figure's badass, man. I love the vac metal sword and shield. I think that came out great. The little individual lions look pretty cool and a little awkward in some ways, but that's pretty much every Voltron toy almost in history. But I love the scale here. I love the uniqueness of it. It's not exactly a classic, but a slight update, which I really dig. The articulation for the full figure and in the individual lions is really good. I love that. It's probably my favorite aspect here. The paint and the sculpt are very nice. The box mode is a little weird. I don't know really what the whole deal with that is, but you know what, I kind of dig it. And even though it was a pain in the butt, it was still fun to do, so I enjoyed that. I love this piece, man. I love Voltron. Like I said, this is around $100 for this type of figure, and for me personally, I think it's worth it. To have a transformable Voltron in this scale, at this quality, is really cool and really fun, and I think he would fit in awesome with all of your collections. So be excellent to each other, and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.